Hello everyone. Welcome back to Evan's channel. Today, we are going to break down the early half-court offense of Stephen Curry. The game we are looking at is Game 3 of the 2015 NBA Finals, a game the Cleveland Cavaliers eventually won. Through this game, we can look at some of Curry's early weaknesses, as well as the strengths he had from the very beginning. We can also use this game to think about why Curry did not win Finals MVP that year.
Biggs come to help. Tristan.
At the start of the game, Curry made Golden State's first basket. On this possession, Delave Duvier defended him in a relatively normal way. Curry made a hesitation move outside the three-point line and Delave Duvier immediately dropped back inside the arc. But Curry used his excellent off-the-dribble shooting ability, gathered the ball, and rose into a three. The shot went in, and Curry completed a perfect self-created possession.
Thompson has a clear run to the basket as Steph Curry knocks in a three.
This kind of defensive approach is obviously not ideal against a player like Curry, whose operating zone extends far beyond the three-point line. It gave him too much room to raise into the shot. Now let's look at the next possession.
What a story, Matthew Dellavedova.
Curry was almost in the same spot again. This time, Delave Duvier did not drop back too much. But because of Curry's shooting gravity, Curry was able to accelerate and beat the primary defender almost immediately. However, this did not necessarily show Curry's finishing pressure at the rim. This advantage was mostly created by his shooting threat.
Has become as Curry gets inside.
Tristan Thompson did not really give Curry much body contact at the rim, but Curry still failed to finish. Considering Curry's vertical explosion and physical strength at that time, it is not hard to understand why challenging Tristan Thompson's rim protection was difficult for him. The better solution here would probably have been to turn the available space inside the arc into a floater or a pull-up jumper, instead of trying to force a finish against 20-point interior defense. But Curry's shot creation inside the arc was not especially strong at this stage. After 2020, his ability to create two-point shots off the dribble became much better. Now let's continue to the next possession.
They're 40%. They're two explosive offensive teams, but that was a grinded-out muck.
On this possession, Curry brought the ball across half-court and got a chance to attack a mismatch. But you could clearly see that his mismatch attacking ability did not look great here. He was more than 23 feet away from the basket. There was a lot of space on his right side and there was no real help defense. But his drive did not create much of an advantage against the mismatched defender. The defender was not really beaten. Curry almost had to get all the way to the baseline before gaining any kind of positional advantage. Then the possession turned into an offensive dead end. The pass almost became a turnover, and Curry also lost his balance. This kind of struggle against a mismatched primary defender showed the limitations in his burst and strength. If you put someone else in this situation, for example Russell Westbrook, it is very hard to imagine him struggling like this. His explosiveness would probably destroy the mismatch right away.
Up game as Curry nearly falls. Crowd wanted to travel.
After that, Golden State moved the ball back to the top. Curry and Klay both used off-ball screens. Curry actually had a chance to create a three against a mismatch, but he chose to pass.
Harrison Barnes fakes, spins, two to shoot, lost the ball, picked up.
Then Barnes failed on the isolation, and LeBron leaked out in transition and got fouled. At 7:30 in the first quarter, Steve Kerr called a timeout, probably trying to adjust the half-court offense. Before this, Curry's on-ball creation had not looked very effective. Golden State shifted its half-court offense. Draymond Green became more of the on-ball organizer, while Curry started playing more off the ball.
Trying to find out exactly where it happened. Curry, catch, wide open, in and out.
Here, Curry used a double screen. In fact, Klay almost gave him a third screen as well. Curry got open outside the three-point line and created a clean three-point attempt. This was a beautiful three-point look. There was no real contest, but Curry missed. Even for Curry, the basic rule still applies: the farther you are from the basket, the lower the shooting percentage becomes. A three-point shot is still a lower probability event.
Thompson gets some opening.
On the next possession, Klay used a ball screen and took an off-the-dribble three. But K lays off the dribble shooting is not really his strongest skill and his self-creation ability is not elite. So this was a difficult shot for him. I may make a separate video about Klay Thompson in the future.
Thompson can't hit. Green trying to
DeRaymond got the rebound and Golden State ran more off-ball movement.
keep it alive. Comes up with a rebound. Back out. Iguodala with an early entry into the game. Curry tried to go backdoor. Dellavedova, good ball denial. Iguodala wide open. Another wide open three.
But Curry and Klay did not get the ball. This possession was eventually finished by Andre Iguodala with a three-point attempt.
Has been one of their big stories besides LeBron James.
On this possession, DeRaymond set a fake screen for Klay, and Klay quickly cut back. DeRaymond popped out and caught the ball beyond the three-point line.
The entire playoffs, they've been one of the best defensive teams in the league. Draymond Green, nice drive.
Tristan Thompson closed out to defend him. DeRaymond attacked the closeout, got into the paint, and finished a three-point play. At that time, DeRaymond still had some three-point threat and some rim pressure. You can also see how flexible Golden State's off-ball movement really was.
Yeah, Smith said he was so happy.
Here, Shumpert's shoulder ran into DeRaymond's screen. He looked very uncomfortable and left the court. Golden State took advantage of the temporary 5-on-4 situation and scored.
His teammates won because he made some boneheaded fouls in game 2 as Shumpert is hurt. Iguodala drives down the lane and throws it in.
And you see Steve Kerr to start this second quarter. No Klay Thompson, no Steph Curry. This is a unit that he likes to insert to emphasize ball movement and man movement.
Iman Shumpert, by the way, back still in the locker.
When Curry was off the floor, Golden State often used Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala to stabilize the half-court offense. This possession was a beautiful one-dribble pull-up jumper.
With a left shoulder injury as Livingston rattles in the shot.
I have no clue, absolutely no clue, other than he wants to do.
After Curry returned, Cleveland kept the same defensive strategy. The primary defender picked him up one step beyond the three-point line and did not give Curry any room to raise into a shot. Cleveland's interior help defenders were still not fully focused on Curry. Dellavedova's defense seemed to guide Curry toward the right side, trying to make him take shots inside the arc, which was not his main operating zone.
Do it in the presence of the notorious JVG.
But after Curry gave up the ball, he set a screen for Klay. Klay caught the ball for an open three, but he missed.
Thompson fires away, short.
Again, this goes back to what we just mentioned. The three-point shot has a lot of randomness. It has strong upside, but it does not always give you a stable offensive floor.
But that's good. Some added intrigue.
Then LeBron got the ball. With the floor spaced, he used his overwhelming physical strength to beat Iguodala's primary defense, ignored DeRaymond's help, and finished at the rim.
James lowers the shoulder, gets inside, and switches to the left hand. Up 6.
On this possession, Curry ran a pick-and-roll with DeRaymond. The screen was set very high. Curry was almost standing on the logo. Dellavedova tried to get over the screen and stay attached to Curry. Tristan Thompson was also ready to step up and contest Curry's three-point shot. We can see a lot of similar high pick-and-roll actions in the 2022 finals as well. Curry is extremely effective in this kind of action. Because opponents fear his shooting, the primary defender has to fight over the screen, and the big man also has to come up very high. This often breaks the defensive structure immediately.
Curry to Green. Green.
Here, DeRaymond got a chance on the roll, but Emos Igov protected the rim and stopped the play.
Goes right at Moskov. Excellent deep. Cavs. Again, another strong defensive effort to start. The Warriors 39%.
On this possession, DeRaymond was again used as the passer and organizer. He gave the ball to Curry, and Curry ran another pick-and-roll with DeRaymond. DeRaymond rolled to the basket, but this time against 20 points of rim protection. He did not have enough speed built up. The possession turned into an offensive dead end, and he did not even get a shot off.
Shooting, although they've missed some open looks.
Then DeRaymond passed the ball back to Curry, using Curry's gravity to create an open three for himself, but he missed.
4 on the 24. Curry to Green. Green trying to snap that streak.
It's impressive.
The ovation.
On the next possession, Curry used the screen to get into the paint. then passed the ball to Bogut on the roll.
You heard was Iman Shumpert coming back in or set to come
Bogut did not catch it cleanly. Cleveland shrank the defense and Bogut's offense stalled.
back in. Bogut lost it, got it back.
He passed to the open DeRaymond. And this time, DeRaymond finally made the three. If that shot had missed, Golden State's second quarter half-court offense would have looked close to collapsing.
Draymond Green tries again and hits it.
In these few possessions, Golden State's half-court offense was not smooth at all. The real reason was not simply that Curry's teammates were missing shots. The deeper reason was that Curry, as the main offensive engine, was not creating shots himself. Because Cleveland had raised the defensive pressure on his three-point shot, and because Curry was not shooting well and did not seem especially willing to force his own shots, his lack of a stable two-point counter became a problem. As a result, his teammates were forced to create in the half-court. During this stretch, Curry looked somewhat powerless. He almost felt invisible at times. So Golden State in that period still had some instability. Because they relied so much on three-point shooting, their offense had a bit of a gambling nature. On the other side, LeBron's ability to break 20-point primary defense with single-point physical pressure was much more stable. On the next possession, Curry used a screen. In a small space, facing around 40 points of defensive pressure, he chose to move in a zigzag pattern back toward the three-point line. Then he created his only three-point attempt of the second quarter. This possession showed Curry's instincts as a player with an extended operating zone. If this were a player with a smaller offensive operating zone, he might use a crossover or a hard-pound dribble to attack the rim. But Curry chose to move outward. This was a very flexible way to create offense. Although he missed the shot, it did not really look like he was bothered by the defense. The result was mostly up to him.
Curry now one.
Even though the three-point shot is a lower probability and less stable event, it is exactly the gambling nature that gives this game its incredible viewing experience. In the final minutes of the game, Curry almost won that gamble. With multiple ridiculous threes, he brought suspense back into a game that looked like it was about to enter garbage time.
Curry for three. Puts it in. Curry rattles it down. It's over. Tristan Thompson. Curry fires away for three. That's good. Stephen Curry nails it.
Wrap off of Mozgov and with Tristan Thompson.
Curry catches, fires, and hits. Curry from downtown. 6-point game. Curry looking for a screen. Dribbles off two. Puts up a three. It's good! Stephen Curry nails another, and it's a three-point game.
To summarize, the 2015 Warriors did not really feel like a team where one individual superstar directly powered the system. Instead, they often felt like a system that powered the individual. Their off-ball movement sometimes looked like a starless style of offense. You did not always know who would end up finishing the possession, and at certain moments, the offense could still break down. Curry's strengths and weaknesses are both very clear. His incredible off-the-dribble three-point shooting and catch-and-shoot ability allow him to change the opponent's defensive structure with ease. He can kill a game in ways that seem almost impossible. But he is not necessarily the kind of player who guarantees a stable offensive floor every possession. His ceiling is extremely high, but his floor can be less stable. In other words, he is not like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, who could often use two-point pull-posts, mid-range jumpers, or physical drives to stabilize the game. This did improve after 2020. You can clearly see that Curry's physical strength became stronger. But compared with other superstars who have elite athleticism, his two-point stability is still far behind.